So I just automatically thought to myself, like, oh, I'm a small C, that's perfect. Like, I'm gonna look bomb. And hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Natasha. For those of you guys that are new, welcome. For those of you guys that are returning, thank you so much for coming back. Please just take a second to subscribe down below. It is the only way to support me and my channel. And then you can also turn on your bell notifications. That way you know every time I post a video. And then if you want to know a little bit more about me, you can follow me on Instagram. And in today's video, I am sharing my experience getting a boob job back when I was 21 years old. I am now 28, so it's been 7 years. And just everything there is to know about plastic surgery in case you want to get breast augmentation as well. So to give you a little background as to why I got a boob job, I was actually a 32 double A. Yes, you heard that right, a double A. I never wanted to show my boobs at all to my boyfriend, who's now my fiance. I always had a bra on that was push up from Victoria's Secret because I wanted to have cleavage and make it seem like I had boobs, but I actually didn't. And so I spoke to my stepmom about it at the time, and she had a plastic surgeon that she would go to. And so she recommended that I fly to Miami, get a consultation with her doctor. And so that's exactly what I did. So over the summer when I was off from school, because at the time I was in college, I flew to Miami and I went straight to the plastic surgeon. And so for me, I felt like he was super credible because my stepmom had known him for years. She had done several jobs with him, and I just felt really comfortable in knowing that. So his name is Dr. Bernardi Vasquez, and he's in Miami, Florida. He is a board certified plastic surgeon. So when I went to his office, he had me fill out standard paperwork, and then he asked me exactly what I wanted to achieve. Like, what did I want my boobs to look like? What size did I want? And then he actually took a look at me. So he took my measurements, and then he showed me all the different options, and that's what I'm gonna get into. So he showed me two options for implants, the saline implants and the silicone implants. And now for those of you guys that don't know what the difference is between the two, let me tell you right now. Saline implants are filled with a sterile saline solution like salt water. The solution is held within a silicone shell. These implants can be filled with different amounts of saline solution, hence the different sizes in boobs. This affects the feel, firmness, and the shape of the breast. If a saline implant leaks, the solution will be absorbed and expelled by the body naturally. So as soon as I heard that, I'm like, that doesn't sound good. And that's just not healthy. So right off the bat from hearing that, I was definitely not too fond of that option. And then the silicone option, which is actually the one that I went with, is a gel-filled implant that consists of a silicone outer shell filled with a silicone gel. If a silicone-filled implant leaks, the gel will either stay in the shell or escape into the breast implant pocket. A leaking silicone-filled implant may or may not collapse. So after hearing both options, I actually felt that the silicone one was much safer than the saline, and I consulted with my stepmom, who happened to be there, and she also agreed with me. And then he asked me more specifically about the breast size that I wanted. So he had different breast size implants in the office, and he showed me the different sizes, and he even allowed me to put them close to my breast just so I can see what that would look like. And so for me, I felt that a 34B would be perfect for my body type and just what I was looking for. And the sister size to that is a 32C. And then we went further and we discussed the incisions. So there's 3 types of incisions that you can do. So the first one is the inflammatory incision, which is done in the crease under the breast. The second one is the transaxillary incision, which is done in the armpit. And then the third one is done by the areola, which is the nipple. So after hearing all 3 options, I went with the nipple one because I felt like it was going to be a smaller incision than the other 2, and I also thought that it was going to heal much better. Because your nipple has some color to it, my thought process was that after the stitches healed, the scar was sort of gonna blend in with the color of my nipples. And so for me, that was more relieving. And so that's exactly what I went with. But now I'm a little concerned because I recently read an article that if you go around your areola, there may be some milk ducts and nerves that have been cut out. So that might make it a little more difficult to breastfeed, or the possibility that you won't be able to breastfeed at all when you become a mom. So now I'm not even sure, but that's what I read. And then after that, the doctor asked me about the placement of the implant. There's 2 placement options. So the first is called a submuscular placement, and it goes under the pectoral muscle. so your chest muscle. Recovery usually takes longer when the placement goes under the muscle, and there may be more pain after the operation. And then the other option is the subglandular placement, which goes behind the breast tissue over the muscle. And I went with placing my implant under my muscle because I remember my stepmom telling me that when it comes to the possibility of breastfeeding, your chances are higher when the implant is under the muscle. And so then the doctor explained to me how he would close the incision around the nipple. So he said he would add stitches and some adhesives, and that I would come in for a follow-up, and then he would check me, and then I could fly back to New York. And then obviously he told me that the incision will leave a scar initially, but that should fade after several months, going into a year or two. I mean, it just all depends on your body. And then he also told me that I was going to look a little swollen for the first 2 weeks, but that was actually going to go down. And so after that, we solidified the date of the surgery, and I was super, super nervous because obviously this was the first and only surgery that I've done. And so I didn't know what to expect, because yes, he explained all of this, but obviously it's different when somebody's explaining it to you than when you're obviously going through it. And then I actually flew back to New York to see my primary doctor so I can get a checkup right before my surgery, and that way the results were sent over to my plastic surgeon in Miami. And then once that was all cleared, I went back to Florida, and the night before the surgery, they let you know that you can't have any food or water after midnight. And so that's exactly what I did. And pretty much that night I could not sleep. I was just thinking, my head was racing with thoughts. I mean, I couldn't. I told my mom to say prayers because I was just so nervous. I mean, you can imagine. And morning of, we got there super early. I think it was like 7 a.m. It was my dad and I. He actually accompanied me. And they even had to give me some sort of like mood relaxer because I was super anxious. And they gave me half of a pill. It wasn't a full pill. I forget exactly what they gave me, but it did help a little bit. And then I was going into the surgery room. So all I remember was getting the IV, and then the nurse, or maybe the anesthesiologist, I don't remember who, that asked me like, what's your favorite drink? And all I remember saying was pina coladas, and then I was out like a light, like the Drake song. And then I wake up like, what, 4 hours later it was about, and I felt like I was just in a deep sleep, and I had woken up, and then I realized that I had my boobs already. My chest felt a bit sore, but I was still under a lot of the medication they had given me, so I was fine. And then they wheeled me out in a wheelchair. I saw my dad, who was waiting for me in the waiting room, and then we went downstairs, got the car, and then just drove home. And I was in Florida for about 3 weeks after that. And then I had to go see the doctors 2 weeks after the surgery just so that he can take a look at it, make sure everything was fine. But during that 2-week recovery process of me just getting my surgery done, I felt fine. I mean, they gave me painkillers. I remember they gave me Percocets and something else, which obviously is super strong, and I did not want to take it. And luckily I didn't have to take it because I wasn't in that much pain. And I do remember taking ibuprofen. I think that was the only thing I took. I was very swollen, like he said, and I just couldn't move as freely as I wanted to. I couldn't move my arms like up, down. Like if I was getting up, I had to be very careful. And when I was in the shower, I would shower my body parts with like a little rag instead of just like a regular shower. And then I went to see him. He said everything looked good, that the stitches would fall out on their own. And I got to go to New York, come home, and then finish recuperating here. One of the things that I did to make my boobs look less fake, because I remember after like a month and a half, I was like, wow, they look super round, and they were still really firm and kind of hard. I remember taking the doctor's advice and sleeping like chest down when I would go to sleep, and that really helped like loosen them up and make them feel more real, more natural, and even look more natural. And so after that, I mean, I was good to go. And the only con that I can think of is that when you're super skinny, or when you lose weight, you have ripples around your boobs because there's not enough skin to cover the actual implant. And so those ripples can show at times. And so that doesn't look good, obviously, because then it looks like you have something coming out of your chest. But again, that doesn't happen to everyone, and the times that it has happened to me, I'm conscious of it, and then I eat a little more, I gain a little more weight, and then it's all fixed. But yeah, that was my whole experience. I'm due to change my implants in 2 years, because he told me that I should change it after 10 years of being with them. So in 2 years, and I'll probably keep the same size because I feel like it fits my body nicely. And by no means am I encouraging people to go out and get plastic surgery. I am just sharing my experience and why I did it and how I feel about it. But this is something that, you know, it's personal preference. If you feel like you need it and you want it, then go ahead. But if you don't, then that's okay too, you know? And for those of you guys that may wonder how much was the total for my boob job, it was about $5,600, so almost $6K. And that was 7 years ago. I'm sure the prices have changed now. But again, do your research if you do plan on getting any plastic surgery at all, because every doctor is different. Yeah. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment below. Let me know if you have any more questions, or if you've had plastic surgery, what was your experience like? If you have any video suggestions, also drop them down in the comments below. And don't forget to please, please, please subscribe to my channel. Turn on your bell notifications, and I will see you guys in the next video. Mwah!